Shyne Puffy Combs, better known as Diddy, is a 3-time Grammy Award-winning hip-hop mogul, often accredited for discovering the likes of legends such as Biggie, Mace, Mary J. Blige, Usher, and more, but his recent indictment has awakened many to his devious ways. With charges such as racketeering, arson, and ex-trafficking being attached to his name, the general public has learned he was doing more than just producing Sean John jeans and dancing in music videos with shiny suits. I mean, it's a reason Cat Williams once famously said,
because P.Diddy be wanting the body, and you gotta tell him no.
Over the years, Mr. Combs has displayed the typical characteristics of a sociopath with money and power. That includes a lack of empathy, aggression, and impulsive behaviors, all masked through his charm and deceit. He's become so consumed by power that his arrogance has even allowed him to leave us clues throughout his 30-year career in the music business. And I'm here to document it all. So ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the many victims of P. Diddy.
Diddy Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces.
Combs used that money, power to force people to do his bidding with a heavy focus on what has been dubbed the freak-offs. And Sean Diddy Combs, one of the richest and most influential rappers in the world, was locked up in New York on federal charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking.
Now, before we get into things, I just want to preface this video by giving you a trigger warning. This video will contain some disturbing images, stories, and videos involving P. Diddy and his many victims, but I believe it's important to showcase these things so that you can fully understand the picture. I'm going to start off fairly lighthearted, but as the video goes on, things will get worse. After a brief stint at Howard University, Diddy got his start in the music business as an A&R executive for Uptown Records. This is the same label responsible for popular acts such as Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, Heavy D, and Al B. Sure. In '92, Diddy founded Bad Boy Records while still at Uptown, but he never did anything with it, as I'd imagine he was just too busy to go all in on Bad Boy. Lucky for Diddy, he was fired just a year later in '93. In an interview with Oprah, Mr. Combs explained his reasoning for being fired when he said, "I was very passionate and I didn't understand protocol of workplace politics, so I got fired because there can't be two kings in one castle. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to Andre, but I was fighting so hard. He wanted to be more diplomatic and to make sure everybody felt involved." Now, for those of you unaware, Andre Harrell was the founder of Uptown Records, and he tells a different story. Diddy painted himself out to be this ambitious wildfire that couldn't be contained, but Andre told Page Six a different story. He said, "Man, I fired Puff only to make him rich. I didn't want to sit there and be the one confining Puff because the corporation told me to do that. I'm not built that way. I told Puff he needs to go and create his own opportunity." Listen, whatever the reason was for his firing, it turned out to be a blessing. With this newfound freedom, it gave Diddy the time he needed to officially launch Bad Boy Records when he secured a distribution deal with Arista Records. Bad Boy launched in 1994 with his first major artist being Craig Mack and the Notorious B.I.G. But there was one artist on Bad Boy during the early days that brought us several hits who would go on to become disgruntled with the way Puff did business. His name was Murder Mace. Mace dropped his classic album Harlem World in 1997, and with that came several chart-topping hits such as Feel So Good and What You Want. Mace had that cool, laid-back flow and the flashy Harlem style that the ladies loved, but what most don't know is his pen game was strong too. Mace has written for Brandy, 112, Mariah Carey, Chris Brown, Biggie, Diddy, and more, but as the years would pass and the platinum records would begin to stack, Mace began to notice something. The money wasn't looking right. Mace claims Diddy only paid him $20,000 for his publishing rights earlier in his career. And for those unaware, owning your publishing rights is important because it allows the artist to control how their music is distributed, which in turn can be an extra source of revenue. You won't always be the hot new artist, but if you made great music, there's always a chance for a placement on a movie soundtrack, in a video game, or even in commercials. Mace claims Diddy took advantage of him at a young age, seeing as he was just a kid from the hood with a lack of knowledge of the music business. He saw that his records were selling millions, plus he was writing hit records for other artists, but he wasn't seeing any of the money. And apparently Diddy has a pattern of these business practices as well, because several other artists under Bad Boy have made similar claims, with Aubrey O'Day from Danity Kane being the most vocal.
That he's paying back all of the Bad Boy artists. I just want to throw you the facts, okay?
Sure.
The deal that we were offered, and when I say we, not every artist got it. Like Day 26 did not get it. But this is what it is. You can have your rights back to your music after Puff went under and somebody else bought our catalog. So this is long after we have 2 double platinum albums, $14, $15 an album from 2 million albums is, what is the math on that, 48 million?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm a mathematician, but maybe.
So $48 million somebody made on me.
Yeah.
I did not make anything. When I said I did Christina Aguilera for free, I didn't do Christina Aguilera for free, but the record label recouped it all.
But back to Mase. Mase offered Diddy some money to buy back his publishing, but Diddy wasn't having any of it. Diddy claims Mase still owed the label $3 million for an album advance that was never delivered, and I'd imagine that album was never delivered because Diddy didn't pay what was owed for the last one. And because of that, for years, these two publicly feuded, with Mase doing several interviews about the situation on radio stations and podcasts.
What did Puff do to piss you the fuck off? How did he do you dirty, if he did you dirty?
Me and Puff was like, I felt like I did more than I got credit for, more than I got paid for.
You felt, or did you do that? Because you said felt, like
okay,
feeling.
let's clear that up then.
You saying you feeling that?
No, we gonna keep it with, because I'm trying to be nice. I never got paid what I was worth, and I never got the respect I was worth. So the disdain that I got for Puff is more like, you trying to keep me here. I'm not here. All my peers is up here. All my peers are bosses. When it's time, just like somebody raised somebody up, you know they did work with you. They go from your little man to maybe A&R to something else. He just kept trying to keep me right here, like he didn't want me to grow at anything.
This beef lasted so long that it bled from the late 90s all the way into modern day, where Mase dropped a diss track called The Oracle 2, The Liberation of Mase and Bertha. In this 2022 song, he dropped some scathing bars foreshadowing Diddy's arrest over the freak-offs when he said,
I know what my budget read, I read the budget every week. I'm on no way I talk, but it's a way out for me. They can try to dangle money, they didn't think I ever leave. Niggas never pay the artists, but they love to pay the freaks.
These two were so knee-deep in beef that it caused Mase to start rocking with one of Diddy's top ops, 50 Cent. And the layers to that moment in time will always be hilarious to me, because 50 always tells the story of the time Diddy tried to take him shopping.
Like he said something to me one time, a long time ago, at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You gonna make me mess up the wedding.
To me, that's funny, because after Diddy tried to take 50 shopping, 50 turns around and takes Mase shopping in the Window Shopper music video just to mess with Diddy. But one of the biggest takeaways from the Diddy and Mase beef is how it all connects to the greater Bad Boy lineup. Not only did almost every artist under the label claim to be robbed by Diddy, but several of their biggest artists found God after signing to him as well. Mase became a Christian pastor, Loon converted to Islam, Shyne became an Orthodox Jew, and Craig Mack joined a cult. It makes you wonder what type of evils Diddy was up to convince so many of his artists to find religion after dealing with them, and one even joined a cult. I know the way Diddy was looking at Mace's ass in that Can't Nobody Hold Me Down video would have been enough to scare me off of the label, but that's nothing in comparison to what Diddy did to Danielle Smith. If you don't know, Danielle Smith is the former editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine, and in 1997, Vibe was preparing to release an issue of the magazine with Diddy gracing the cover. This issue would feature Diddy dressed in an all-white fit, with him having these angel wings to symbolize this whole angel demon theme he had going on in the music industry. The problem is that Diddy wasn't sure about the images after completing the shoot, so one day he called up Vibe's HQ and demanded Danielle let him see the pictures before they were released. This was against the magazine's policy, as they wanted to maintain artist integrity, so Miss Smith said no. And after Danielle told Diddy no, he decided to show up to Vibe's HQ in person with his entourage looking for her. Obviously, he wanted to give her a piece of his mind, or maybe more, but thankfully her staff helped her escape the building through the back door to avoid the confrontation. So the very next day, Diddy called up Danielle Smith and he threatened to kill her. He specifically is on record saying Miss Smith would end up dead in the trunk of a car if she didn't let him see the pictures early. So Danielle called his bluff and he just continued to berate her over the phone. Now, after consulting her lawyer, Diddy faxed an apology to Miss Smith's office a few days later, and they tried to smooth things out. But I can't stress enough, this was all over some pictures. It goes to show you how bold Mr. Combs becomes when he's enraged. He's a man who's not afraid to use violence to get what he wants, no matter how big or small the actual issue is. And the crazy part is that he's a man who isn't afraid to have violence used against him, because let me tell you about the time he tried to violate Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson is one of the greatest boxers to ever grace the planet Earth. He was known for his tenacity, his peekaboo fighting style, and the vicious knockout power he had. At his peak, nobody could stop this man, and it created the classic debate of which heavyweight would win in in their prime between a fight in Ali and Tyson. I mean, this man was so popular that he had his own video game called Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and he appeared in just about every fighting game in the 90s as a boxer. They would just change his name, with the most obvious case being Balrog from Street Fighter. When Tyson chose to hang up his gloves and retire, he ended his career with 50 wins and 6 losses. 44 of those wins were by knockout, by the way. But did Diddy care? No! He is a pervert completely driven by lust, and this was proven during the Keenen Ivory Wayans show. In 1998, both brothers appeared on the show. Tyson appeared because he was thinking about getting into the music business. See, Tyson had recently lost his boxing license after biting off Evander Holyfield's ear in a fight, so he was looking for a new source of revenue because he wasn't really sure where his career was going. Diddy was brought on the show because by 98, Bad Boy had released several albums from Mace and Biggie, so they were doing good, and the showrunners thought it'd be a good idea to let Diddy give Tyson some guidance when it comes to the music business. Diddy had a different idea though. Instead of providing business guidance, this man chose to guide his hand toward the world's champion ass on live TV.
But it was like, I just felt I was embarrassed for like weeks.
It truly is about the Benjamin, as we see.
Oh yes, he's literally.
It truly is.
Now I don't care about a man's sexuality. That's none of my business, and honestly, it's not the problem here. And if I could stand on my soapbox for a moment, I'd like to remind everyone, the real issue with the freak-off indictment that Diddy's involved in is the lack of consent and the fact that he was allegedly blackmailing, trafficking, and physically abusing people. I feel like that part has been lost in the conversation because so many people are hyper-focused on his baby oil activities. And this clip with Tyson is just more proof that Diddy is a man that lacks self-control and discernment. He's drunk with power, and he has no issue abusing said power. Do you know how insane you have to be to attempt to inappropriately touch a man in front of millions who once famously said,
"My defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah."
After violating the champ, Diddy is lucky he didn't catch a mean uppercut to his jaw like Lil Mac. I mean, it's no reason for the CEO of Bad Boy to be such a bad boy on live TV, but that is nothing in comparison to what he did on his own show, Making the Band. Making the Band was a popular reality show that aired in the early 2000s, and it put undiscovered talent against each other in competitions in hopes of one day being signed to a major label. The show was executive produced by Diddy, but because he's an egomaniac, he couldn't just stay behind the camera. He would often dance in his artist music videos, so you know he was gonna be on camera for a show about unknown artists. Making the Band gave birth to popular early 2000s acts such as O-Town, Day 26, Danny DeCane, and Donnie Klang, but today I want to focus on Da Band. Da Band is a horrible name for a group based on a show called Making the Band, but they were also a hip-hop and R&B group comprised of Enes, Freddie P, Babs, Choppa, Sarah Rivers, and
Dylan, and Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Da Band were the season 2 winners of the show and arguably the most popular group to win the contest. This is because not only were they talented, but they made for good TV. These were some starving artists, and I swear like every other episode they was just getting into fights, which made it must-watch TV back then because this is back when everybody wasn't desensitized by social media. Seeing a fight on TV was very rare and it was great, especially when Enes got choked out by Freddie P.
No, chill out, yo. Chill out. For real. I'm gonna hit you, dog. Stop playing on me, dog. Get off. Yo, chill out, cuz. Stop playing on me.
Their debut album peaked at number 2 on the US billboards, and the group scored a couple major hits on the Billboard Hot 100 with Bad Boy This, Bad Boy That peaking at number 50, and Tonight peaking at number 45. This group had a lot of potential in my opinion. I mean, they all could rap and they had good singing, but ultimately they failed to live up to the hype for a couple of reasons. First off, I think it was just too many members, so it was hard for anyone to get any type of individual shine, but also that meant that it was a lot more egos to manage. Most of the group came from the streets and they just didn't know how to handle all of that pressure. But we ain't here for all that. Instead, I want to focus on the actual show. See, I was a 12-year-old kid when Making the Band aired on television, and even as a 12-year-old kid, I knew Diddy was a psycho when he made that group walk from Midtown Manhattan to Brooklyn to get him a slice of cheesecake from Junior's. That, for those unaware, is a 14-mile walk in the middle of the night when it was freezing cold. Keep in mind, only one person in that group was from New York City, which by the way, I think it was Babs. She wasn't even from that borough, so she probably didn't even know the route. And this is before smartphones and GPSs was a thing, so nobody actually knew where they were going. They were just walking around aimlessly in the middle of the dark.
Yo, fam, Puffy just told us to go to the store in Brooklyn and bring him back a cheesecake and walk.
Dad, see me on TV, some punk ass bitch, yo. It's crazy. If I walk to Brooklyn, I'm going home. That's where the I live, y'all. I'm not walking Brooklyn, is you crazy?
Yo, it's called making the bitch, not making the band. I said we go back and tell him we ain't doing it.
Got too much respect for him to do that.
It's slave labor right here, man.
It is, but hey, yo, if you the captain, bro, whatever you do, I'm with.
I mean, come on, man. Everybody got to be with me, though.
I'm with you.
I'm with you.
I'm with you.
It's the end of this shit, man.
So what they gonna tell me? They gonna tell me to y'all stay there and then what?
Nah, I ain't staying. I'm not staying. I'm not staying.
Drop you. He dropped me, he dropped all of us.
Now, as a kid, I didn't understand why Diddy did this. And even as an adult, I still don't understand how this proves you're a hungry artist. Walking almost 20 miles in the freezing cold and pitch black without GPS somehow proves that you want to be signed as an artist. To me, it just looked like someone who wanted to flex their power over desperate people. It just felt like it was an egomaniac trying to create a moment for television. The kids nowadays would call that clip farming. Also, side note, Freddie P recently revealed in an interview that cheesecake wasn't even for Diddy, and you'll never guess who it was actually for, so instead I'm gonna just let him speak for himself.
Yeah, that's a fun fact people don't know. People like, y'all walked together cheesecake. It was for Beyonce. I'll do it again.
Now, as a bonus, since the purpose of this video is to display the many victims of Diddy, I thought I'd share another clip from that same interview. For those of you who've never seen Making the Band, Freddie P was the first person to quit the group. He was kind of like the first domino to fall before the group would eventually break up, but the way the show was edited and aired on television, it made it seem like Freddie P was some type of asshole who just got up in the middle of the night and left the group hanging. But according to him, that's not the way things really went down. See, in this interview, he explains the real reason he left the band was due to Diddy's violent nature.
This nigga threaten you, it hit different. You hear what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a gangster. Like, I done been in real, I done seen it. I ain't got to talk about him. Just tell you, ain't nothing he can show me that I ain't seen. You get what I'm saying? So when he said this to me, it hit a nerve. It was like, it was on some shit. Like, one day I woke up, I was in the mood. I'm in the studio, I'm snapping, whatever. I don't want to be with it. You know, when you around a bunch of goofies, you a street nigga. Sometimes you don't want to be around the nerds. Sometimes the nerds irritate you. So I'm in that bitch. I'm just frustrated with a lot of shit that's going on. Anyway, we get in a situation. We in front of everybody. Nigga like, he was like, man, money, man, what you think, you bad or something? He was like, nigga, I'll buy every house on your block. Shut every light off on that bitch, and when you come out, every time you come out that bitch, you'll get popped. So when another nigga tell you some shit like that, you like, get your animated ass out of here, goofy ass. You feel what I'm saying? When he tell you some shit like that, you go to picture him purchasing every house. You go to picturing every light on the block going on. And that shit silenced me. And for you to make that, people ask why I left the band. Like, that's why I left the band. Like, that's why I didn't do Dave Chappelle. Like, we got into that. My next time I got the chance to go home, because I had to, you know, you're a gangster. It's like, you know, when you ain't got your gun on, you got to play it off sometime. So I had to play it off. I tried to, man, listen, I don't even want to talk. It's because I don't know statute of limitations and stuff like that. But I tried to get his pussy. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know he was threatening. I'm pretty sure he know now.
I think the saddest thing about Making the Band is the fact that every winner of that show was violated. I mean, nobody remembers O-Town, so clearly they didn't receive the support they needed from the label. I just explained what happened to the band. Danny DeCane was financially robbed and made allegations of sexual assault. And then there's Day 26. In their season of the show, Diddy made a room full of grown men sing for a bed. I mean, there's nothing illegal about this, but this whole moment is just weird. Diddy looks aroused by it all. You can't tell me this doesn't look like some type of metaphor for Diddy's freak-offs.
There's 1,000 words that I could say to make you come home, yeah. Seems so long ago you walked away.
Sing to him. Don't sing the song to him. Let him hear you.
You said to me.
Let him know you coming to get his bed, man.
You acting so strange, yeah.
But that moment doesn't compare to the freaky thing he did in the 2012 NBA All-Star Weekend. See, Diddy made a guest appearance at the dunk contest, and when it was Chase Buttinger's turn to throw down a nasty jam, Diddy seized the opportunity to violate him too.
Indiana Paul George.
Over Diddy. Good job, baby.
Diddy jump.
Now you might be wondering, what's the issue here? I mean, how did Diddy violate Chase in this situation? And I don't blame you for thinking that way. But if we examine this clip from a different angle, you will better understand what's going on. This other angle shows us that Diddy took far more pleasure in that dunk than he should have. This man is not only lovingly gazing into another man's crotch, but he's damn near sniffing it. Mind you, he did this in front of 7 million people watching. This goes back to the Mike Tyson clip from earlier. Clearly this man has no shame. I mean, we don't care that you like men, but you can't violate other men on a public international platform and expect nobody to notice. That man was smiling a little too hard in that image, but you know who wasn't smiling? Shyne. Shyne was a rapper from Belize who signed to Bad Boy Records back in 1998. He was discovered by DJ Clark Kent while freestyling in a Brooklyn barbershop. Impressed by his talents, DJ Clark took Shyne to Diddy, where he got signed on the spot. His self-titled debut album dropped in the year 2000, which was led by the single Bad Boys, which is still a banger to this day, by the way. But sadly, Shyne didn't get to reap the rewards of his newfound success because Shyne was in prison when his debut album hit the streets. See, Shyne went to prison due to an incident that happened in a New York nightclub back in 1999. According to reports, Shyne was in a club with Diddy and his then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez when a fight broke out between them and a man named Matthew Allen. Tempers flared and eventually shots were fired inside of the club. 3 innocent bystanders were hit and Shyne ended up picking up charges because of it. In 2001, Shyne was convicted on 2 counts of assault, reckless endangerment, and criminal possession of an illegal weapon. Diddy, on the other hand, was acquitted of all charges at the trial. Shyne went on to do a 10-year bid because of this, and then he was eventually shipped back to Belize. And during his sentence, he maintained his innocence, claiming he didn't shoot anyone, but was instead made out to be the fall guy. Now, rumors been floating around for the longest that it was Diddy who shot the gun and J-Lo who was egging him on. The problem is that Diddy was the one with all the money, power, and influence, so Shyne's claims fell on deaf ears. After all, he was just an 18-year-old kid from Belize, and at the time, he didn't have much to his name, so it would have been easy to throw him under the bus. Not to mention, let's keep it real, if Shyne goes to jail, who benefits most from his music catalog? Because keep in mind, during the trial and while he was in prison, that's when his album came out, and also he had that hit song Bad Boys going crazy in the streets. The person who would benefit most from Shyne being in jail is the man who owns the record label, Diddy. And here's the crazy thing about this all. As of recently of 2024, a new twist has been added to this story. Remember those victims that were shot in the club? Yeah, well, they survived, and one came forward to co-sign Shyne's story. In her version of the story, she claims she vividly remembers Diddy being the one who shot her in the face, but for some reason, the night the police report was created, it was thrown in the trash by the powers to be, and they just ignored all the information she shared during the investigation.
Yeah, and you have said since really right after the shooting that it was P. Diddy who shot you. I mean, I think you even said it to the doctor that night, right?
I said it immediately. I literally watched them pull out the guns. I've had a clear point of view. I mean, for God's sake, I got shot in my nose. I was facing them directly. I watched everything occur and have described it, you know, vehemently to all parties involved. I think in our society, we have respectability politics. There are people who want to be adjacent to power or celebrity or money, and there's a hierarchy of respectability.
Here's another interesting part of this case. This was revealed in a forgotten MTV interview where Shyne shares info about his lawyers. He claims he got insider info that his lawyers were on Diddy's payroll. He basically insinuates that Diddy paid them to do a poor job, which would help Diddy when he testified against Shyne, because for those of you unaware, the main reason Shyne got convicted of this crime is because Diddy turned on him and testified against him.
Just as damning as Sharice Meyer's testimony, according to Shyne, was a team of lawyers appointed to him by Sean Combs. Shyne says Murray Richmond and others were at one time on the payroll of Combs' record label, Bad Boy. Because Puffy's defense implicated Shyne in the shootings, Shyne says having his own lawyers bankrolled by Bad Boy posed a conflict of interest.
As I understand it anyway, the fact that your lawyers, as it turns out, originally were on Puff's payroll, on the Bad Boy payroll, that's part of this current effort to get the case retried, right?
More or less. Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about that and when you learned that they were on the Bad Boy payroll?
Well, it was always on the payroll, you dig, but that was at a point where I thought that was my comrade. So, you know, I ain't have it like sense. That. Yeah, right. You know, I was a fledgling artist. Like, right. You know, Shyne album didn't come out yet, so I didn't really have it like that. But at the point where, you know, he calling the witnesses, you know, to do me dirty, then you understand that, you know, well, man, if these guys is working for him, because I went to the judge like 3 times complaining about inefficiency with my lawyers, because they was just dumbing out. Like, witnesses be on the stand, they would ask them 2 questions that didn't make sense and then sit down. It's obvious that they were selling me.
Now, at the end of the day, it's their word versus Diddy. None of us were there that night, so it's kind of hard to know what truly happened. But if this case was ever reopened and it was discovered that the cops, lawyers, doctors, and judges involved were paid off, I would not be upset if we found that out, because I mean, that's crazy to hear this woman say, Diddy shot me in the face, and they basically threw the police report away. It sucks to see when justice isn't potentially served. But on a more positive note, Shyne has found a second calling. See, after finishing his sentence in 2009, Shyne was deported back to Belize. And in 2010, he took a trip to Jerusalem, where eventually he'd convert to Judaism and find peace. When he fully returned to Belize in 2013, he was appointed as a goodwill ambassador to the nation and tasked with developing their music scene. He also donated hundreds of thousands of dollars of his own cash to help the movement. Then in 2020, he ran for the House of Representatives and he won, and he's been doing great things for his nation ever since. Not to mention, he got his visa back, so he's able to visit the United States again, and he did a great interview with the Drink Champs podcast sharing his story that I highly recommend everyone check out.
And the sacrifice that I made to not sell cocaine, to not sell crack, to divorce myself from the streets, and to just focus myself on, you know, a path that will see my mother have peace and security.
But my favorite thing about this story is how he handled the Diddy indictment. See, after Diddy was hit with all them charges, the press and police asked him what he thought about all the recent Diddy drama, and he responded by saying,
one of the things that I would never wish on my worst enemy is to be incarcerated or to be sick, to be bedridden. So I take no joy in anyone's challenges, whether with the criminal justice system or otherwise. But I just like to clarify, and you have to be truthful in the description of the relationship. This is someone who, in essence, testified against me when I was on trial, when I was a 18-year-old kid, you know, just wanting to do nothing other than make my mother proud and make Belize proud and do what all of us want to do, be recognized for our talent and take over the world. I was defending him, and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me, and he contributed. He pretty much sent me to prison.
I'm just happy to see the story have a somewhat of a happy ending, but that doesn't change the fact that over the years, Diddy has displayed a lot of strange behavior. Strange behavior that I couldn't figure out a way to format like the previous stories, so instead, I'm just gonna call this section,
What do you mean by that?
The first clip up comes from the 2014 Howard University commencement speech. This is supposed to be a day to celebrate all the graduates, but somehow Diddy made it about the freak-offs.
Happy 50th. Y'all know y'all gonna have to turn up tonight, right? All right now. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Y'all know how y'all was doing it back in 64. Dancing.
What do you mean by that?
This next clip I want to highlight is Diddy on Conan O'Brien just openly talking about how he locks people away and essentially drugs them at the Diddy parties.
They just, you know, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
Rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, you know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose.
What do you mean by that?
And last but certainly not least, I want to highlight this clip from Making the Band. I'm sorry, but what does this have to do with a singing competition?
Y'all gotta get naked, you know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta get naked.
What do you mean by that?
It's clear as day this man is very strange, but nothing is more strange than this interaction he had with Fabulous. The two appear on the Drink Champs podcast, and Diddy proceeds to behave in a very facetious manner in which he made everyone uncomfortable at the table. But nobody was more uncomfortable than the Brooklyn MC Fabulous. If you don't follow hip hop, Fabulous is known for being like this cool, swagged out dude, real kind of cocky. But in this clip, his demeanor says he knows something about Diddy that we don't, and he avoids Diddy at all costs. He looks like he doesn't even want to be on the show. know. Fabulous looks and sounds like the kid who got in trouble with an abusive parent, and it's just odd to watch. He's so visibly uncomfortable, it makes me uncomfortable.
Why won't you party with me for your birthday, man?
Yeah, we partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, but me and you ain't never really party, you know what I'm saying?
Yo,
okay, so check this out. It's me, Tyrese, Ray J, and F. Gary Gray. You know, I'm a type of nigga, I like variety, man. I like people that's unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? I like different personalities. So I was like, I never knew they would become what they are today. But you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, that sounded like the type of night I want to have in Vegas. You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
And the crazy thing about this clip is that Fabulous isn't the only rapper Diddy has violated over the years. When he's not trying to be freaky with rappers, he's also getting violent. Long before J. Cole was ducking smoke from Kendrick and Drake, he had a little spat with Diddy too.
Yeah. Jermaine. Yeah. Cole. Yes.
The crazy thing about Diddy's issues with J. Cole is that they all stem from Kendrick Lamar. In 2013, Kendrick dropped a classic verse on Big Sean's Control record. And during Kung Fu Kenny's verse, he displayed a level of bravado that got the entire hip hop community talking. Now, if you're a rap fan, you understood if your name was dropped in that verse, it was actually a sign of respect. And if it wasn't, you might need to step up your pen game because you weren't considered competition to Kendrick. Most people in the rap community understood this, but there were two people who didn't like those name drops. The first person who didn't like it was Drake. In several interviews, he made it very clear he took those words to heart, which would later prove he in fact is not like us.
And that verse was, he's giving people like moments, you know, like that verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay. And then it was real cool for like, you know, a couple weeks. But like, if I asked you, for example, like, how does that verse start?
Oh, do you remember? Which, side note, for those of you unaware, that little interview clip that I played earlier, that moment would go on to inspire this moment.
Yeah, and nothing been the same since they dropped Control and tucked the sense of the rapper back in his pajama clothes. Ha ha, joke's on you, high five. I'm bulletproof.
Now, I'm sure many of you knew there was a war between Drake and Kendrick brewing under the surface, but what many folks didn't know is Diddy was looking to war with Kendrick as well. Being the egomaniac that he is, reports claim Diddy was not a fan when Kendrick said he was the king of New York in that Control verse. The problem is that Diddy wasn't able to catch Kendrick lacking because he's always sitting in the dark like L from Death Note, so he did what he thought was the next best thing, and that was to take his anger out on his buddy, J. Cole. See, Cole and Diddy ended up at the same 2013 VMA after party where the two had an exchange of words. Now, J. Cole these days tends to apologize before things pop off, but the younger Cole wasn't having none of that. See, Diddy didn't like Cole wouldn't back down, so Diddy threatened to slit Cole's throat. Keep in mind, Cole did nothing to Diddy. Diddy was upset with Kendrick. And if you don't believe me, just listen to the president of TDE tell the story. He was there in the club that night.
Jay and Puff was doing the dinner that they usually do. So in this whole thing, it was packed like 70-30 celebrities. So we come in there and I guess they spoke about it, so it's cool to say now. Puff and Cole was talking about the verse and they end up getting into, a little back and forth. So when we come in, Cole and Kendrick was talking about, the verse. You know what I mean? And then, Puff came back over and they argument sparked up again. So from there, they ended up getting in a whole scuffle.
But Cole isn't the only rapper Diddy had a physical altercation with. We can't forget the time Mr. Combs came for Drake's head as well. And the worst part about this story is, it's similar to the Cole one. Drake didn't really do anything serious to Diddy. Y'all remember that song 0 to 100 by Drake? Well, according to reports, the original beat was presented to both Diddy and Drake at the same time by producer Boy Wonder. They were supposed to record some type of collaboration, but the problem is, the beat was presented and 8 months went by without Diddy ever submitting any type of verse. What happened next is, Drake either grew tired of waiting, or he assumed Diddy was no longer interested, so he went ahead and recorded the song by himself and he released it to the world. That song went on to become a smash hit. This pissed Diddy off, which caused him to confront Drake in a nightclub when he saw him. Now, there were a lot of witnesses outside of the club where it happened, and witnesses claim they heard Diddy say, "You will never disrespect me again," before punching Drake in the face. That's what reports claim. Diddy tells a different story when he appears on The Breakfast Club. He claims the altercation was just all a misunderstanding. He said Drake was supposed to ghostwrite the song for him, but he decided to keep it for himself, and he never put hands on Drake. Now, if I could interject my own opinion into this situation in regards to Diddy's side of the story, I got a call.
Cap.
It's just too many reports with witnesses to back up the original story for me to believe Diddy didn't hit Drake. There's also more than enough evidence out there to suggest that Diddy has a violent nature and won't hesitate to use violence to send a message. Not to mention, Charlamagne the God, you know, the host of The Breakfast Club, where Diddy got on there and said he didn't hit Drake, he told a story on Vlad TV that co-signs the original reports.
Oh, I got that call 4 o'clock in the morning. Right. I was laying in my bed and my phone kept ringing. I'm like, why my phone keep ringing at 4 o'clock in the morning? So I go to look at my phone, and it's my dude, like, my dude. And they ain't, you know, he ain't no just random guy in the club. This is somebody that everybody knows. Right. He's like, boy, you wouldn't just believe what happened. I'm like, what? Diddy just slapped Drake.
But not every rapper who's violated by Diddy gets violated in a violent fashion. Diddy also loves to humiliate his peers, and no rapper has been humiliated more by Diddy than Ultra Instinct Philadelphia goon Meek Mill. Standing next to people like Michael Rubin and P. Diddy has taken this once feared street MC and turned him into the butt of every joke on social media.
Meek, because you got your ass beat in tennis. You got your ass beat. Keep going. Count out loud. That's the wrong time. Count out loud. 30. Huh? 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41.
Y'all gotta understand, like, if you're not a rap fan, at one point, the entire industry viewed Meek Mill as that version of Frieza that appeared on Namek. He was a pure menace. But these days, most just view him as the broken Mecha Frieza that appeared on Earth and got one-shotted by future Trunks. He's viewed this way because of how his industry relationships don't align with his image that he portrays in his music. I don't think anyone actually cares about his sexuality. You just have to understand, you can't proclaim to be this Super Saiyan 2 street goon that smashes mad bad bitches, but then have another man talking to you like this with your shirt off at the pool.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
That's not the only clip like that, by the way. There's a bunch of this stuff floating around. Me personally, if I have this whole gangster street image to maintain and someone I call my friend is jeopardizing my cash flow, I would ask them to stop doing stuff like this.
I was fucking this bad bitch, she fucking me good, and that shit almost drove me crazy. I pulled up to her crib, I was in that 19 Mercedes.
But I think the worst thing to come out online about their relationship is some leaked audio that claims the two were getting very intimate. Now, that audio hasn't been 100% proven to be them, plus I don't want to be demonetized, so I'm not going to play it here. But if you're curious, just search on YouTube Meek Mill and Diddy audio, and you will hear some very disturbing stuff that can easily ruin his street image if proven to be true. Ever since Meek has become friends with people like Diddy, he's been violated time and time again. So it's easy for the public to assume any rumor about him being true without any proper evidence. It also doesn't help the fact that he's been acting very strange on social media the past couple years. I mean, recently he's tweeted things such as, wow, these CEOs stepping down. And he also said, I want to hire an investigative team, $100,000 cash to find out every specific detail involving Meek Mill's name in a Diddy case. I also want them to look at who's power in the media involving Meek. Anything to do with Buddy, something's not right. Oh my goodness. Gotta get into character. He knows his name is alleged to be on those Diddy tapes, so it's like he's been trying to set up a defense case for himself ever since Diddy was indicted on federal charges, but he's been doing a piss poor job. You might be the first millionaire I've ever seen move like you have a public defender. You saying you're gonna hire your own investigators to investigate yourself just makes you look stupid. Just let the feds do their job because they're a third party, and if no dirt comes back on you, then you're fine. Now, I don't know if there's any definitive dirt on Meek, but I do know that Meek isn't the only entertainer who's a victim of Diddy. I too have been a victim of Diddy shenanigans, and I have no problem admitting it. Recently, I was doom scrolling on Twitter and something hit my For You page that scared the life out of me.
Finally alone.
Apparently that's a video that was published to his Vine account back in the early 2010s, which is insane because that means he was in his 40s when that video was uploaded for the world to see. That's nasty considering Vine was an app that was mostly populated by teenagers. Now, I didn't really use Vine when that thing was out, but for those of you who did, the moment this video was published, the world should have collectively said,
FBI? Him. Come on, dude. There he is. Yeah.
I think what sucks about that last clip is we would have known Diddy was a freak if we would have just listened to the mother of Neo's kids. And if you've seen this image, you should know how Neo gets down. But more importantly, if you would have listened to the mother of his children, you would have heard her say,
"Tell him about the freak off, Diddy Jr. Diddy Jr., tell him about the freak off."
Now, some of you might argue, why did she wait until she was pissed at Neo to call him out about the freak-offs? And I understand that point. It looks a little sketchy and it looks disingenuous, but that doesn't change the fact she acknowledged they existed months before the indictment happened, and Neo might have been on them tapes allegedly. Maybe if more people would have spoken up sooner, what happened to Usher could have been avoided altogether. See, when Usher was 13, he was signed to LA Reid under LaFace Records. He was trying to make a name for himself in the music business, but the problem is, Usher wasn't Usher back then, if you catch my drift. He hadn't quite hit his stride, and the label was struggling to market this new budding artist. Reid felt like Usher was missing that swagger and that edge that a lot of 90s R&B acts had, such as Jodeci and 112. So as a last-ditch effort, Reid sent Usher to live with Diddy. Living under Diddy, the 13-year-old Usher underwent what he describes as Puffy's flavor camp. The goal was to provide insight, networking, and production guidance, but Mr. Raymond also claims there was a large number of extracurricular activities going on as well.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was LA Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody
it was
tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans.
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary
okay?
J. Blige, they didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time, you know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to read between the lines here. Usher claims he wasn't forced into doing anything, but he does admit to being exposed to things he shouldn't have seen at the age of 13. An educated guess would tell you he was most likely exposed to sex, drugs, and alcohol, but to protect those involved, he's never gonna give details because those people also helped his career. But the thing is, we don't need him to give the details. The last line was all we needed to hear. When asked if he let his children attend Puffy Flavor Camp, he didn't say no, but a definitive hell no. It's almost as if he's admitting to what went on, all while trying to protect those who've been in his network ever since. Now, some of you might feel like what I'm saying is a reach, but I know I'm not crazy because if you slide down to the comment section of that video, you will find people with a similar sentiment. Take this comment with 500 thumbs up from the community. They said him answering a hell no to the question at the end tells me everything I need to know about what Usher experienced. Or how about this comment with over 100 thumbs up? They say this video is 7 years old and we walked right over it without even noticing. So context clues about Puff's strange behavior have been there, but because Usher is a man who was then a boy at the time, that stuff is often overlooked. It's time to start asking the hard questions. Why does a 13-year-old boy need to be in that type of environment to learn how to become a better R&B singer? That didn't seem like any type of musical training, any type of media PR training. That seemed more like indoctrination. And the worst part is that Diddy has a pattern of indoctrinating young artists. At a certain point in time, Justin Bieber was just a wide-eyed bright-eyed kid from Canada performing in public to build a name. Eventually, he'd go viral on social media, and that would have him signed to Usher. You know, Usher, the man who claims he'd never send his own children to Puffy Flavor Camp. He turned around and sent a young Bieber to Diddy Day Camp. In an old vlog that's still on Bieber's YouTube channel, Diddy and Bieber can be seen on camera, where Diddy reveals he'll be taking guardianship of Bieber for the next 48 hours, and anything could happen.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
Now, someone explain to me why a grown 40-something-year-old man needs to be hanging out with a 15-year-old boy that's not his son and getting buck crazy. What does that have to do with becoming a better artist? If Diddy wanted to take Bieber under his wing and introduce him to his network of business partners and producers, then that's proper guidance. But that's not what he said. They talking about getting buck wild. Now, some might argue buck wild is vague, so it's hard to know what exactly happened. I mean, they could have just been getting buck wild at Chuck E. Cheese. And to those people, I say, you're not wrong, but I'm also gonna say, why are you so quick to defend Diddy? I mean, look at this clip that was uploaded 1 year after Bieber's 48 hours with Diddy. It's very clear something happened that made Justin steer clear of the diddler.
Selling out arenas and everything, starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot. But you never really got my number, so.
I cannot stress enough that is a 40-year-old man pressing a 14, 15-year-old child about hanging out more. That clip is very disturbing because if you play it back and listen to Bieber's voice, it is visibly shaking.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot. But you never really got my number, so.
Okay.
So one can't help but wonder what happened in those 48 hours a year prior to this clip of them hanging in the studio. Usher admitted no child should be hanging around Diddy at the Diddy Day Camp. Usher brought Bieber to Diddy, and now Bieber is damn near shaking in his boots when Diddy comes around? And if you need any more evidence, numerous reports claim ever since Diddy was indicted on federal charges, Bieber has locked himself away in isolation to deal with his trauma. Whether something bad happened during his childhood or he's on them Diddy freak-off tapes, hell, maybe both, it's obvious something went wrong between Bieber and Diddy, because although Diddy was calm in this clip, he was also very passive-aggressive, and we know Mr. Combs is a savage. His words, not mine.
I got my MTV out. Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get!
You know, while we're on the topic of random strange clips from P. Diddy, I want to take a moment to share a few more random clips involving Mr. Combs that don't pertain to any larger storylines. And the first one I want to highlight is from the hit Nickelodeon 90s sketch comedy show, All That.
Good morning. I can see in your room. Hey, stop screaming. Hey, it's just me, P. Diddy. Come on, what's your problem? Hold on. Stop screaming. Come on, it's just me, P. It's me, P.
A giant P. Diddy!
Quiet. Your mama hear you. Hey, where you going? Hey!
So for those unaware, All That was a sketch comedy show that aired on Nickelodeon in the early 90s, and it was very popular when I was a kid. It was basically Saturday Night Live for kids. But can someone explain to me, what about that moment was supposed to be funny? Like, what was the joke or the punchline here? And this is coming from somebody who's been considered funny their entire life. I've sat on this clip for a while. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So instead, I'm just gonna put on my tinfoil hat for a moment, and I'm gonna get into the conspiracy theory realm. I don't think that sketch was supposed to be funny. I actually believe it was a metaphor for how much of a monster Diddy is. Just hang with me. I know this sounds crazy. Maybe some of the writers of this show knew he was a monster, but they didn't know how to blow the whistle without getting themselves hurt by such a powerful man. I mean, think about the sketch that we just watched. A child wakes up and he opens his window for some sunlight, and what does he see? A giant monster, aka P. Diddy. The child reacted as if he saw Godzilla. He feared him. Hollywood loves to throw inside jokes into their bits to predict the future or hint at something that's going on behind the scenes. The Simpsons have become infamous for this. So I can't rule out that the writers weren't aware of what Diddy was doing and they were trying to tell us something here. But if that's not enough, check out this other sketch from All That also features Diddy. This one's worse.
P. Diddy?
What's up?
We can't wake up Shyne.
You try symbols?
Yep.
What about sour milk?
Didn't work.
Tell you what, take this toy helicopter, put it down his pants.
All right, we'll do it. We'll do.
Now in this bit, the two boys couldn't wake up their sleeping friend, so they seek out Diddy for guidance. And when the boys ask Diddy for advice on how to wake up their friend, Diddy suggests pouring sour milk on them first, and then he suggests shoving a helicopter up his ass. Now, this is a children's show, so if they would have just said play loud helicopter noises or just stick a helicopter toy on your friend's head, the joke would have worked because kids are simple-minded and they find random shit funny. I know this because I used to be a preschool teacher. I used to work with kids. Also, Family Guy has built an entire cult-like following off of doing random bits throughout their episodes. The problem with that sketch is, what's supposed to be funny about sticking a large toy helicopter up a child's ass? And if we dig a little deeper, we also have to remember who was the executive producer and head writer on All That. It was Dan Schneider, a man who has had countless grooming and PDF file accusations tied to his name. If you have not seen Quiet on the Set, I highly suggest checking it out after you finish this video. It is a 5-part docuseries breaking down all the grooming and PDF file stuff that was going on behind the scenes at Nickelodeon in the 90s and the early 2000s. It really opens your eyes and it makes you look at that children's platform with a crazy side eye. But back to Diddy. I'm not saying this conspiracy is true. I'm just saying we can't rule out the idea that people didn't know Diddy was a monster back then because these sketches are very strange and they're still relevant to today's conversation. I don't know about you, but if I was invited on a major television show where I know millions of people are gonna watch, and the writers told me I had to do a bit involving shoving a toy up a child's ass, I'd demand a rewrite or I would just walk off the set. I know for a fact there's always an option to do a rewrite or you could just walk off the set and not do it because I used to work in television. For those unaware, I used to host a television show on Comcast called X-Play back in 2022. It was a show where we reviewed video games and we discussed all the hottest topics in the gaming space, but we also incorporated sketch comedy into our videos. Like, here's an example of one we did about NBA 2K's microtransactions.
All right, you ready for this, man?
I'm ready. I got the clamps on. Let's go.
Yeah, we gonna see it's time for my Super Saiyan Euro step.
The f,
Dude? Who are you?
Vince Carter.
I hate to break it to you, but Vince Carter's a little...
Go ahead. Say it.
Thin.
Yeah.
Oh. That's not where I expected y'all to go with that, but it still hurts.
I think the better question is, why are you in our game?
You hadn't unlocked that layup yet.
You're joking, right?
No. You want that layup? That's gonna be $500, my friend.
I'm not your friend. And I'm not paying $500 for no damn layup package.
All right, you're lost.
So understand, I spent a lot of time in the boardroom working alongside other writers to produce sketches for our videos, and there were times where someone would suggest a joke that I felt was insensitive to something that was going on in the real world, so I'd recommend passing on it and they would listen. I've also walked off on set when they asked me to write a skit for Black History Month. It was a skit about code switching in corporate America, and it involved Nintendo Switches. It was very clever, funny, it wasn't preachy, it was short. I showed up to shoot the day I was scheduled to shoot that skit, right? And I found out someone rewrote my whole script. When I tell you I was pissed, I was like one of like 3 Black employees. They asked me to write something for Black History Month, and then a white person came in and told me I couldn't do that after you told me. There was nothing offensive. I'm still mad about that shit, by the way. I told them to go themselves and I walked off set that day. What I'm trying to say is you get scripts ahead of time, so if you want to request a rewrite, you can, and even if it's not where you want it to be, Diddy's a powerful man. He could have walked off set. He didn't have to do that. The point I'm trying to make is Diddy wanted to do the toy up the child's ass joke, and you have to sit back and ask the question,
Why?
Why? So between the Diddy daycare with Usher and Bieber, the freak-off parties, the sex trafficking, plus his strange appearance on All That and many other things, many of you might be wondering why someone didn't blow the whistle on Diddy sooner. I mean, why protect him? Funny enough, I have an answer for that too. It's been in his music all along. The answer is Hollywood is most likely rotten to its core, so nobody wants to snitch on anybody so they don't have their skeletons dug up. I mean, take a listen to G-Dep's 2001 Let's Get It record, where Diddy admits if he goes down, he's taking everyone with him.
Hey, yo, call me Diddy. I run this city. Send the cops, DA, the feds to come get me. Cats wanna leave me for dead, you coming with me.
Diddy is a man with power and influence, so even if you did tell, there's a chance he's gonna put his hands on you or your family, just like we mentioned earlier with J. Cole and Drake, or how he threatened Freddie P. to shoot up his family's house. But did you know that's not all the violence Diddy was involved in? Yeah, this rabbit hole goes deeper. Take the incident with Steve Stout as an example. Steve Stout is a veteran in the music industry who served as a top executive at multiple major labels. He's also recently created the United Masters platform, which makes it easier for independent artists to distribute their music on larger platforms. In 1999, Diddy had a song with Nas called Hate Me Now, and when it came to the treatment of the music video, Steve worked alongside Diddy and Nas to make that music video. Now in the video, Diddy and Nas are being crucified on a cross like Jesus, but right before the video was geared to premiere to the public, Diddy got cold feet and he demanded the religious content be cut from the video. Now for whatever reason, the demands were not met and the video was left as is, and Diddy was not happy when the video aired on MTV. So with his Zenkai boost in hand, Diddy headed on down to Steve Stout's office with several of his goons and they busted a champagne bottle upside Steve's head. The aftermath of this event is the two ended up settling out of court and Steve was awarded millions of dollars from Diddy.
Jimmy Iovine steps in?
In a way of, in a Godfather type of way, calling, you know, like I remember him telling, you know, talking about, you know, Puffy, you can't be doing that, man. No, you know, whatever it is, you know, you guys got to squash it out, blah, blah, blah. And same thing with Steve. Look, work this thing out of the, you know, you're going to have to pay for this. Work it out with the lawyers for the damage. But after that, you know, there's no need to take this any further, basically.
Because there was no lawsuit?
No. There was just, like you said, a payoff.
Do you know how much Steve got paid off?
He got paid off well.
Millions?
You can say that.
Yeah, you could say that?
Yeah.
It's just a shame that Diddy not only mismanaged his own career with the Hate Me Now video, but he also mismanaged other artists under his label. The Hate Me Now video was not the only time he got into it with people over creative differences. Take the Lox, for example. They got into a huge ordeal with Diddy over mainly creative differences as well as finances. The Lox felt that their hardcore rap style wasn't in alignment with the more flashy artists on Bad Boy, thus they didn't receive the support that they needed. So they requested a release from their contract, but Diddy would not allow it. And not only did he not allow it, but eventually he stopped picking up the phone. This led to a moment in time where there was some serious tension between the Lox and Diddy, and things got so bad that all of their dirty laundry was aired out over the radio.
First of all, I'm at my office right now. I'm always accessible. Y'all ain't got to get on the radio and do certain tactics and do certain things to ever holler at me. Jadakiss, last time I saw you, I told you, let's get together, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? I told you I'm accessible. I said, if anything don't come, if there's somebody standing in the way for you expressing yourself, or any of y'all expressing yourself, y'all can come get at me directly. You know what I'm saying? All that throwing the refrigerator and you gonna kill, you ain't killing nobody, man. You know what I'm saying? We businessmen. We all mature adults say all that right there. I'm at my office. Y'all can sit on this interview with her and talk as long as y'all want to talk about it, or you can take the invitation I gave you before. But it's not even getting there because of your get on the radio, whatever tactics. I ain't your enemy.
Dog, we just
you need to bang like that on cats that's coming at you. I ain't your enemy.
Just yesterday we got a note from your office saying you don't have no idea of none of this or none of nothing.
Just yesterday, your lawyer told us that.
I see you at the show backstage. You said find out what it was.
But don't sit here and portray like Puff took nothing from y'all.
What is it? What is it? What do you call it?
If it's 10 years,
what do you call it? And don't say we can come to your office or do none of that, because we can't do none of that. We can't handle it no other way but with lawyers, and you know that, so don't get on the radio and act like a tough guy or none of that.
You know how we can settle it?
You acting tough.
I'm at my office, so why don't we stop talking on the radio?
No, you want people to stop talking because you just don't want to know the truth, dog. We made one record with you. Money, Power, Respect. It's 10 years later, and you still got half of our publishing. Now, there's no way you can make it justifiable that you said you deserve half of our publishing.
You to my face. We just at the concert. You ain't saying nothing.
What are we going to do saying it to your face? Get sued? What do you want us to do? We can't touch. We can't be violent or none of that. We can't even have. You saying all this, dog? 2 years ago, levels in Miami.
Let's recognize real. Y'all know where the office is at. There's a big sign on it. I'm gonna be here.
The whole National Guard's downstairs too. Cut it out, man. We can't talk in
this. I'm a grown ass man, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is textbook gaslighting. He did one thing behind closed doors, and then he attempts to make his artists look crazy when they call him out in public. You can hear the frustration in the Lock's voice. They just wanted to conduct business, and Diddy kept avoiding them. He kept acting like he didn't know where to find them, as if Jadakiss didn't already tell us where he was at.
New York, the real New York. I'm outside. I don't live in Miami. I don't live in Colorado. Come to my block and see me, my niggas. All of y'all know I'll be down there. This is Kiss. I'm outside.
Things got so bad between the two parties that reports claim Styles peed through a chair at Diddy during an argument. Now, this wasn't the sole reason Diddy finally let them go, but it definitely was the catalyst. The Lock's management team went on to negotiate a contract buyout for $2 million, along with royalties from Jadakiss's first solo album. From there, the Lock's signed to Rough Riders, and they released their second album titled We Are the Streets. I believe one of the key reasons they were able to get the deal done is because they were grown men with a solid team behind them. But what happens when you're young? I mean, younger artists are much more susceptible to industry deception because kids are just happy to find some success, and the parents might not have the education needed to deal with industry sharks. Y'all remember B5? They had us all singing,
I can't wait to get to school each day and wait for you to pass my way.
B5's moment in the spotlight was very brief, but have you ever wondered what happened to them? Diddy, that's what happened to them. B5 was signed to Bad Boy Records, and during their tenure under the label, reports claim that they were never really paid. The boys say that they never received publishing rights for their music. There's a pattern here with this whole publishing thing, by the way. They never received credits for the writing they did on records, and they also never received a proper percentage of payments that Bad Boy owed them.
With a camera, yeah. Puff, Diddy,
we
yeah.
Yeah,
we
man.
want our publishing too. We were so young at the time, we didn't understand the business of it, but you know, now it's like looking back, it's like, damn, like, you know, why our names wasn't on the credits? You know what I mean? Why? Like, where the percentages at? Where the pub at? You know what I mean?
Back then, you know, we were 13, 14, 15. There was really no one to step in place and be like, yo, like, where's the split sheets at? Like, make sure he gets this percentage, you know what I mean?
Do you regret leaving Bad Boy?
No, we just couldn't see eye to eye. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we decided to split.
The worst part is that in that same interview, B5 claims they've only ever met Diddy in person a handful of times, which co-signs the Lock's and Mace's story that Diddy loves to avoid conversations with his artists. B5 claims that they mostly dealt with Bad Boy staff members and middlemen, and then you add in the fact that they were young and uneducated, and they were just easy pickings for Mr. Combs. And the sad thing is that Diddy has a track record of effing over younger artists. It wasn't just B5. See, now I'm about to hit y'all with a deep cut. How many of y'all remember the name Jerome? Unless you're in my age bracket, most likely none of you. Hell, a lot of the 30+ crowd still might not know who Jerome is because he only released one single under Bad Boy before fading into obscurity. The song was called Too Old For Me, and it's incredibly creepy. In this song, this child is singing to this grown woman, and she's entertaining it all throughout the music video. I repeat, someone at Bad Boy or a Bad Boy affiliate wrote this song for this child that promotes grooming. I don't care if the boy did like her. That is a grown woman. If you don't believe me, just listen to some of these lyrics. It's weird.
When I first laid eyes on you, I instantly wanted to become a man. Each and every day I sit in class and dream about holding your hand. So I told all my boys all the thoughts in my head, cause I knew they would understand. But when they laid their eyes on you, they laughed and they said you're too old for me. Yeah.
The video starts off weird too. It starts off with Jerome sitting in a car with Diddy, and I can't help but think, why is this child hanging out with a grown man that isn't his father? Then Diddy proceeds to tell Jerome this story about how he was in love with this 16-year-old girl when he was 11, but he didn't have the courage to talk to her, so he regrets never making a move. Now, 11 and 16-year-olds are both minors, so it is legal, but I'd be a liar to say it's not weird because I know for damn sure when I was 16, I was not hanging out with no 11-year-olds, and I damn for sure wasn't looking at no damn 11-year-olds. But like I said, it is legal between those two age brackets, so I'm not gonna hone in too much on that. Instead, I wanna focus on how Diddy ends that pep talk to Jerome by saying, as a grown man, he still thinks about that 16-year-old girl to this day.
How old are you?
11.
Yeah, when I was 11,
used to have a crush on this girl that was 16. But I never got up enough nerve to say nothing to her. So she never even knew I liked her. And to this day, I still think about it.
Listen, if he would have just ended the story by telling Jerome he regrets never building the courage to make a move on that girl, then I might have let this story slide because they were both minors. That's just an OG trying to teach the youth the importance of taking risks. But when Diddy said he still thinks about that 16-year-old girl till this day as a grown man, I instantly thought to myself, nigga, please. So what happened to Jerome? How come he never released a full project under the Bad Boy label? Well, according to Jerome himself, it was a few factors that explained why he disappeared. The first being his age. 11 is a difficult age because that's around the time most young people are entering puberty. Puberty hit Jerome hard, so he struggled to control his voice when it was time to do the album. Add on the fact that he was also diagnosed with reflux disease, and that further affected his ability to be consistent with his voice. So the young man unfortunately dealt with not only his body changing, but breaking down at the same time. This led to mental health issues. Keep in mind, this is an 11-year-old boy dealing with the pressures of the cutthroat music business. Bad Boy was one of the hottest labels at the time, and his young mind felt the pressure to not only live up to the legacy of the label, but also the pressure of feeding his family.
And the album just never came out. And eventually I did have a nervous breakdown.
Yep, you heard that right. Things got so bad that Jerome ended up having a mental breakdown. Jerome states that he had a panic attack during the shoot for a music video on a song he never released called Dear Yvette. Sadly, we never got to see the music video for Dear Yvette, but eventually the song would leak online and you can check it out if you like. The music video is very much real too, because I dove into the comments of the song and I found this comment from 13 years ago that co-signs the story Jerome tells about having a panic attack on set. The comment says, funny thing is that I did the music video in Coney Island as one of his dancers, which is his homeboys, and he got kind of weird and sick on set, but we continued to shoot without him. Strange enough, he had a double. My brother and I still have some of the footage. It's just sad that the video will never come out. It would have changed my life as a dancer for sure. Maybe we can convert it to VHS or DVD. By the way, he had 5 other tracks that we heard and they were fire. So the question now is, what happened after the incident on set of Dear Yvette? Did he have any empathy for this poor kid suffering from poor mental health? No. He just cut Jerome from Bad Boy Records and he shelved the 13 songs that they had already recorded for his album. Sadly, his music career didn't pan out the way that he liked, but the good news is that this story does end on a more positive note. After leaving the music business, Jerome went on to pursue higher education, where he managed to earn a degree in international business and a master's in marketing. He learned how to speak several languages, including French, German, Spanish, Italian, and Chinese. So shout out to that brother. I mean, sometimes your losses don't feel like a blessing in that moment, but often blessings come in disguises. I mean, who knows what kind of trouble he would have found if Jerome would have stayed around Diddy longer. Probably the same type of trouble that found Kid Cudi when he had his run-in with Puffy. Well, before I touch on that more, I would just like to state that the next section of this video is teetering on conspiracy and the rumor realm. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Nothing is 100% proven at the time of this recording. Actually, most of the stuff that I brought up in this video, it's mostly just alleged because a lot of these cases are still going on. But if definite proof does come out, just remember where you heard it here first. Now back to the Cudi story. We all know his music. It's gotten many of us through the day and night, but what everyone doesn't know is he was almost allegedly clapped by Diddy. Cassie is a former artist that was signed under Diddy who also happened to be dating him long term. Now rumors of abusive behavior circulated around the industry, but things really came to a boiling point when Cassie filed a lawsuit against Diddy in 2023. There were a lot of shocking things that Diddy was accused of in that lawsuit, and we're gonna speak on that more later. Before we do, I wanted to highlight one other thing that surfaced during that lawsuit. Court documents from Cassie claim that Cassie and Cudi dated briefly in 2012, and when Diddy caught wind of this, he instantly became jealous, so he threatened to blow up Cudi's car. And the worst part is that he wanted to do it when Cudi was home with his friends. That threat was something he told Cassie in private according to the court documents, and shortly after telling Cassie, Kid Cudi's car actually did blow up in his driveway. This is all confirmed by a spokesperson for Cudi. Now, does this mean Diddy actually did it? Not necessarily, but the timeline in that threat Cassie claims he made sure do line up very well. We also can't forget that he has a history of violence, so it's easy to understand why most people believe that he did it. Well, because Cassie settled out of court with Diddy for a large sum of money, we'll never 100% know. I think the scary thing about Diddy's violence is that it comes in different forms and it applies to both men and women. Nobody's safe. This man doesn't seem to care who he hurts so long as he maintains power and control. Recently, a woman named Thalia Graves filed a lawsuit against Diddy, and in her suit, she alleges that that she was R-worded by Diddy in the summer of 2001. If you read the documents, she claims she was given a drink that was laced, which caused her to lose consciousness. And when she woke up, she claims she was bound and restrained before Diddy proceeded to violate her. And it wasn't just sexual either. She claims she was violently beaten and slammed onto a table. Now, some of you might be wondering, why did she wait so long to speak up about the situation? And if I had to take an educated guess, it's because back then she knew nobody would believe her, but also as of 2023, she learned there's a video allegedly floating around the dark web of what went down that night. And if this all turns out to be true, I'd imagine she was scared of his power and just tried to move past it. But if that tape is real, I can see why someone wouldn't want that to hit the general public. We'll have to see how that story plays out. I don't know about all that. What I will say is that Miss Graves' alleged tape perfectly aligns with all the other reports of Diddy holding tapes on other people for blackmail. Her being drugged also aligns with reports of him drugging people to get what he wants. And in a recent report, it claims the excessive baby oil he kept for the freak-offs could have been potentially laced with drugs. Now, y'all remember that clip I played earlier of him being interviewed on Conan O'Brien? In it, Diddy claims he likes to turn up the heat at his parties to relax people.
Rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, you know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose.
Now, do you know what else heat does? It opens up your pores so that your skin can better absorb things. That's why we take hot showers, so that the soap can be more effective, and it's also why it's better to apply lotion when you're fresh out of the shower, so that the lotion absorbs better into your skin and keep you moisturized. The baby oil was said to contain rufinol, which on the streets is referred to as roofies. Rufinol is a drug commonly used to relax or incapacitate a person. It's commonly referred to as the date R-word drug. Tinfoil hat time, but I think I connected some dots here. If the lawyers are able to prove that Diddy's baby oil was laced with roofies, that means turning up the heat during parties meant he was trying to make sure that the drugs got absorbed into the victim's system with maximum efficiency, which is just next level weirdo shit. My theory on the baby oil drugs and heat now makes me curious what happened to this guy.
When he comes to a P.Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man.
It's so unfortunate.
You gotta pull back though, so they can see. That's crazy. Matt, move out the way. You're still alive. Look at that. Look, would you get the drink out his head? And that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco. He is a actual DJs aren't supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
I don't know why he thought it was appropriate to post someone in such a vulnerable state. It's really not funny. The dude looks helpless. I mean, he looks like he needs some water and an Uber home, but they're just at the Diddy party making jokes about it. It's not a joke, just like how the rumors floating around about Diddy and Jamie Foxx aren't a joke. Y'all remember when Jamie Foxx ended up in the hospital a few months back, but nobody even knew why? And even when he recovered, he never really stated to the media why he fell so deathly ill. The news just kind of came and went. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we might have a clue as to why Jamie was feeling bad. Diddy's former bodyguard recently did an interview where he states Diddy tried to poison Jamie.
Well, I know he poisoned Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx reported him to the FBI because of it. I know that's a fact.
So, wait, you're saying that Diddy poisoned Jamie Foxx and that's how Jamie Foxx got sick?
Jamie Foxx reported this man to the FBI because of this. These people poison people, bro. I've been poisoned 3 times. Why am I testing positive for cyanide? You feel me? Why do I had pneumonia 3 times? So people like, man, why he breathe like that? Because I only got 1 lung. And then I had a car crash. I got 1 nostril permanently blocked.
If this turns out to be true, I want to know what Jamie did to Diddy that made Diddy feel the need to poison Jamie like Frost poisoned Goku. Or is this just a case of Diddy is evil and he felt like poisoning people for fun? Also, side note, peep how he said he had pneumonia 3 times while he was working for Diddy. You know who else died from pneumonia? Diddy's deceased wife, Kim Porter, who also happened to be working on a tell-all book before she passed away. Now, I'm not trying to insinuate anything here as we have no actual proof, but I do find it interesting that everyone around Diddy seems to suffer from the same illness. What a coincidence. What might not be a coincidence, though, is when LeBron famously said,
"Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so."
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Now what you just witnessed is a clip that's resurfaced recently, and in it, LeBron is praising Diddy for his parties, and because of all the allegations surrounding Diddy's name, people have begun to look at LeBron with the side eye. Now, up until recently, I believe most people giving LeBron the side eye was more of like a meme than anything serious. As you know, the internet loves to crack a joke. Not to mention, he's never been caught in any major kind of scandal throughout his career, so I think most people gave him the benefit of the doubt. Recently, I've come across what's referred to in Hollywood as a blind item, and blind items are anonymous statements posted to the internet by insiders that often make scandalous claims about your favorites. One was recently made that claims there's audio floating around on the dark web from the Diddy tapes, and in this blind item, it claims the other person's voice on that tape is LeBron's. So now some are speculating LeBron might not be the king, but the queen who's getting blackmailed. Now, before you go and run and tell everyone LeBron is on them Diddy freak-off tapes, just know there's no credible evidence of this rumor at the moment. It's all alleged, so take what I said with a major grain of salt. This could just be someone online looking to capitalize on all the drama, but if somehow, some way, these tapes do go public and LeBron is on one of them, just remember where you heard it first.
Even your favorite basketball player. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. We know who said that. He may be one of the persons got caught up in the Diddy party.
Now, the last few things I mentioned haven't been proven. It's kind of in the chatty patty realm. So instead, let's turn our attention to the facts. And the facts are that Cassie did sue Diddy, but instead of taking it to court, he settled out of court, and reports claim they settled for somewhere between $30 and $100 million. Now, in the unsealed documents, it's revealed that Cassie accused Diddy of sex trafficking, sexual assault, general physical abuse, grooming, controlling her life, forcing her into drugs, forcing her into the freak-offs, being a cuck, kidnapping, isolating her from her family, and blowing up Kid Cudi's car. Now, because the case never went to court due to Diddy paying the hush money, technically he was never convicted of doing anything to Cassie, but come on, you don't just drop $30 million for no reason. I'd imagine it would have been cheaper to fight the case if you were actually innocent and she didn't have any real hard evidence on him. I think one of the craziest things about the Cassie case is, shortly after the accusations went public, another woman came out and accused Diddy of some similar things. So Diddy decided to release a statement via social media proclaiming he was an innocent man. In a since deleted IG post, Diddy said, one moment please, allow me to get into character. And editors, play some dramatic music in the background. Yeah, that's good, okay. Enough is enough. For the last couple weeks, I've silently sat and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of those awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and the truth. Sincerely, Shyne Diddy Combs. Now that's what he said. The problem with this statement is karma's a bitch. They say what's done in the dark eventually comes to light, and boy did it, because shortly after screaming about his innocence from sea to shiny sea, a video leaked online. A video in which I'm gonna provide a trigger warning for. If you haven't seen this clip, just know it does contain graphic footage of domestic violence, and I don't want anyone to be triggered, so I'm giving you a heads up that the following video is very disturbing.
Footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her. The video appears to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her.
That previous clip is security footage from a hotel incident between the diddler and Cassie. Now, nobody knows why, and honestly, it doesn't matter because nobody should be putting hands on anybody, but it's clear as day, Diddy is assaulting Cassie. This video is very disturbing because, as mentioned earlier, Diddy released a statement claiming none of Cassie's claims were true. This video proved he's a bold-faced liar that will do anything to protect his image. Like, do you understand how much of a monster you have to be to chase a screaming woman down a public hallway with cameras everywhere, half naked with nothing but a towel on your ass? I mean, big ups to the person who had the courage to leak the footage, but also shame on the hotel employees who took a bribe to try to cover this up. This is a video from 2016. That means this video is almost 10 years old. This cover-up lasting this long shows you how powerful Diddy is to be able to coerce hotel employees into deleting footage. Now, shortly after that footage leaked online, Diddy hopped his ass online and issued a public apology. But at this point, the damage was already done. We know at bare minimum, Diddy's a liar. And also, this apology was just half-assed. You mean to tell me, does this look like a man who's sorry, or he's just sorry he got caught?
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry, but I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
That security footage of Cassie and Diddy was absolutely disgusting. But honestly, I'm happy that the world got to see it, because sometimes you need to be able to put a face to the monster. Rumors and hearsay is just not enough sometimes, because although Cassie did settle out of court, I believe this video leaking online is what led to the feds doing a sweep. See, when the public got to visibly see what type of person Diddy was, it put pressure on the feds to do a sweep on Diddy. First, they raided his home. Then they later arrested him on charges for racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and kidnapping. And he knew it was coming. That's why there's footage of him sitting outside in a public park just enjoying the sunset one last time like he's Thanos at the end of Infinity War. The crazy part is too, this man only has two people to blame for his downfall: himself for all the people he's fucked over the years, and his son. That's right, his son Christian Combs is also to blame for his downfall. See, Christian Combs is a mediocre rapper who goes by the stage name King Combs. When he's not doing the same old goofy dance on stage, he's assaulting our ears by cosplaying his dad on a beat. Which is crazy, by the way, because why model your whole shtick after your dad, who also happens to be an awful rapper? You couldn't pick Nas or like Jay-Z or like an Eminem, like another great rapper. You picked P. Diddy. But I digress. After the feds did their first sweep of Diddy's house, dumbass King Combs released a diss track aimed at the FBI, which is a first in hip hop, by the way, a stupid first. And in this song, he proudly taunts the FBI, and then he openly admits the FBI raided the wrong house for evidence.
These niggas is sick, probably hating cause we rich. He must think we fucked this bitch. Knock them walls down like when them Fetty boys ran in both our cribs. Too bad they ain't know we bought the one next door, cause that's the one they miss.
This has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in hip hop's 50 years of history. See, for those of you unaware, the feds only come after people they are sure they can beat in court. That's why they currently have a 99% win rate. They stack a ton of evidence against you before they attack. So why taunt somebody with a 99% win rate, especially an entity that has unlimited resources? If I was Diddy, I would have strangled King Combs like Bart Simpson after he dropped that dumbass diss track, especially because that thing only got like 100,000 like views on it. Nigga, you suck. You got people in the comment section saying this song is aging like milk, and there's a reason why. But I guess you could also argue this really isn't King Combs' fault. Diddy failed to raise a wise young man because he probably was too busy doing God knows what at the freak-offs. So technically, you could argue this still all falls on Diddy's shoulders. Matter of fact, I'm changing my script last minute. The last victim of Diddy I want to highlight is his son Christian Combs. I mean, if you think about it, he's a victim too. He didn't get the proper parental guidance, so now King Combs grew up to become a dumbass. This man's family has all types of allegations tied to their name, and instead of exercising your right to remain silent, King Combs' biggest issue with you and I is the fact we make no Diddy jokes on social media. I mean, why else would he say this?
What? I dare one of you niggas scream out no Diddy.
Wah, 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 boy. No Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy. Yeah, I said it. What you gonna do about it? I'm just saying. You know, jokes aside, that Cassie stuff is pretty scary. I mean, I've got a lot of important women in my life, and that kind of abusive stuff can happen to any woman. It's much more common than some of us like to admit. So I want to do something positive. I'd like to take this last moment of the video to say that if you or anyone you know has been a victim of domestic violence, don't be afraid to call the National Domestic Violence Hotline to find help. The number's on the screen, as well as a link to my previous video. I'll thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.